Hey guys, I'm off from Podcast, and welcome to week 7 of the 2018-2019 Premier League review. If you are new to the series, what we do is we take a look at the past set Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table, and we finish off by looking at the Premier League top goal scorers. So, here is the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Saturday the 29th, Sunday the 30th of September, and Monday the 1st of October 2018. Also next to the games are the times in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific match, just go to the time next to the game and you'll skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. I don't know why I did the clicks. Might keep the clicks, who knows. We start with West Ham versus Manchester United. It was a flying start to the game for West Ham as only 5 minutes into the match they took the lead when Felipe Anderson applied a great finish. It's poor tracking from United as Pablo Zabaleta escaped down the right hand side. There's a hint of offside, but there's like an inch in it. He slid the ball into the middle for Felipe Anderson, and the Brazilian had the balls to heel flick it past De Gea to open the scoring. And West Ham doubled their lead just before half time as Victor Lindelof is credited with an own goal. It's a horrible deflection for the Swede as Man United just failed to clear a set piece. It drops to Andrei Yarmolenko, who cuts inside, and as he's about to shoot, Lindelof steps across the ball to try and block the shot, but instead the shot just hits the defender and loops into his own net. But Man United would get away back into the game in the 70th minute when Marcus Rashford cut the deficit in half. He obviously saw what Felipe Anderson did earlier in the match and he said, "I'll have some of that." A corner was put into the middle, Rashford runs near post, hops up, heel flicks past Fabianski. Mad. But West Ham would regain their 2-goal lead just 3 minutes later as Marko Arnautovic secured the point. United caught out with the back and they won a foul, but for me, it isn't a foul, it's a fair tackle, and Mark Noble then picks up the ball and Mr. West Ham plays a sublime through ball through the middle of the United centre-backs, and it leaves Arnautovic one-on-one with De Gea, and he coolly slots it past him into the bottom corner. And as the game ended, what a performance from West Ham, who picked up their first Premier League win at the London Stadium this season. I see a lot of pundits mainly focusing on how bad Man United were, but hardly anyone's talking about how the performance of West Ham. They were pretty much flawless all game. Arnautovic again showing why I love him. Seriously, West Ham, you have a baller on your hands there. He is great. United were extremely poor. The cryings for Jose out is the biggest I've seen, but West Ham were perfect and fully deserved the win. And we move on to Everton versus Fulham. Everton got the perfect chance to take the lead 10 minutes at the second half when they were given a very soft penalty for me. Dominic Calvert-Lewin feels a hand on the back and flings himself to the ground. The ref didn't actually give it, but the linesman did, and the referee took his assistant's word. Gylfi Sigurdsson stepped up to take it, but it's a horrible penalty, and I think he's tried to panink it down the middle, but he gets under it too much, hits the bar, and Fulham can clear their lines. But Everton would take the lead a few minutes later, and Gylfi Sigurdsson made up for his penalty miss as John Joe Kenny swung in a cross that really should be dealt with by Dennis Odoi, but it isn't as the ball runs to Sigurdsson and the Icelandic international strokes the ball home from the edge of the area. And Everton doubled their lead 10 minutes later as Cenk Tosun opened his account for the season. Just like the first, the goal came from the right hand side as Theo Walcott stands a lovely cross from the byline. It's floated right onto the head of Tosun and he nods it home. And Everton added another goal in the 89th minute as Gylfi Sigurdsson got his second and Everton's third of the game. New boy Bernard carries the ball down the left hand side. He feeds it to Sigurdsson, who curled it home from just inside the box. And that's how the game ended. After a poor first half display, Everton bagged 3 in the second half to grab their first league win since August. Fulham had the better chance of the first half as Ryan Sessegnon fired against the bar, but they didn't register a shot on target in the entire game, and it's been something that they have struggled with pretty much all season. Fulham continued their record of never winning at Goodison Park in the league as Fulham now find themselves just one place above the drop zone. And we move on to Manchester City versus Brighton. Brighton did well for the opening half an hour, not leaving City any space to really break them down, but then the Seagulls went forward and City punished them with a devastating counter-attack. Brighton threw men forward and City win the ball back as Sergio Aguero gave it to Leroy Sané, who darted down the left-hand side. The Germans sent in a lovely low cross for Raheem Sterling at the back post, who slid in to finish. And City doubled their lead in the 65th minute when Sergio Aguero got the second. The move was started and finished by the little Argentine as he picked up the ball about 40 yards out from goal, just drove towards the box. Kyle Walker does a nice little dummy run down the right hand side that distracted the Brighton defence, and he went the other way to Raheem Sterling and continued his run to get onto the end of Sterling's cross, and Aguero finished into the bottom corner. And that's how the game ended. As soon as Sterling opened the scoring for City, the result was never really in any doubt from there. The reigning champions dominated this game from start to finish and will be disappointed to have only scored twice as they had a total of 28 shots in the match. Matt Ryan was a busy little bee in the Brighton net, and the only thing Ederson had to do was comfortably catch a header early in the game. City enjoyed 80% of the possession as Brighton looked to catch City on the counter-attack, but they never looked threatening as City picked up the win and went top of the table. And we move on to Huddersfield versus Tottenham. Tottenham took the lead in the 25th minute mark when Harry Kane opened the scoring. Pretty poor defender from Huddersfield as Lucas Moura makes his way down the right hand side. He gets stopped by a good tackle, but literally no Huddersfield defenders decides to get to the second ball, and Moura can get back up, play it to Kieran Trippier. Trippier then looks up, picks out Kane with a cross, and the striker nods it home. And 10 minutes later, Tottenham got the perfect chance to double their lead when they were given a soft penalty. Never a penalty for me. I would have booked him for diving, straight up. Danny Rose is in the box, he feels a touch on the back and flings himself to the floor like a fat kid flings himself at cake. The ref points to the spot for some reason, and Harry Kane steps up to take the penalty, and he sends Jonas Losso the wrong way to get his 145th goal for Spurs. And as the game ended, Huddersfield actually started the game very well, but seemed to lose a lot of confidence when they went behind. Laurent Departure hit the bar for the horse, but they never really looked like mounting a comeback. The Spurs front three of Lucas, Kane and Son looked like they could be a deadly combo in the future, and could have all probably been rested for the second half, as the game was pretty much done in the 34th minute, as it was a pretty comfortable day at the office for Spurs. And we move on to Newcastle versus Leicester. Leicester got the perfect chance to take the lead on the half-hour mark when they were given a penalty, clear penalty for me, as Leicester had about 5 corners in a row, and eventually a shot from Harry Maguire comes in, and DeAndre Yedlin has his arms way above his head, and the ref points to the spot. Some Newcastle players were arguing with it, but for me, if your arms are up in the air, you can never complain. Just look at where his arms are. How can you complain at that? Like, Jamie Vardy stepped up to take the spot kick, and he smacked the ball low and hard into the right-hand side. And Leicester double their lead in the 73rd minute when our Lord and Saviour, Lord Harry Maguire, got his second of the season. His first of the season was a rocket with his foot, but this is what we've come to expect from our slabhead, as Maguire rises higher than anyone else in the box to thump a header down and into the net. Newcastle won a foul, there's nothing in it for me, Maguire just wanted it more. And as the game ended, it was a game of very few clear-cut chances, and when they did come, Leicester took them. Newcastle are without a win all season, and with that fat prick of an owner, Mike Ashley, being in attendance at St James's Park for the first time in over a year, the Newcastle fans made it clear how they felt about him. Although being a lot more positive in the second half, Newcastle rarely made Kasper Schmeichel work in the Leicester net, as the Foxes came away with the win. And we move on to Arsenal versus Watford. Goals in this game were like London buses. You wait ages for one, and then two come along at pretty much the same time. It would take until the 81st minute for this one to get a goal, and it was Arsenal who took the lead, but not one of their players who scored it. It was harsh for Watford as well, as Alex Iwobi drives forward and attempts to play it across to Alexandre Lacazette, but the ball deflects off of Craig Cathcart's leg and into his own net. And 2 minutes later, Arsenal double their lead as Mesut Ozil got the goal. Watford were caught napping on the right-hand side as Alex Iwobi drives forward, plays it to Alexandre Lacazette, who put a nice low cross into the box for Ozil, who slotted it away first time. And as the game ended, Arsenal could have been made to rue some missed chances, but thankfully for the Gunners, they did get the win. Lacazette was the biggest threat on the pitch before the goal and missed a golden chance from 8 yards out, but as he put a header over the bar, he also put a one-on-one wide. It looked like it wasn't going to be Lacazette's day. Troy Deeney and Andrew Gray both had good chances for Watford, and Isaac's success had a shot deflected wide by Rob Holding that could have changed the game, but Arsenal showed to Watford that they had cojones. We're bringing that back. Why not?
Yeah. Having a bit of cojones, I think the word is.
And we move on to Chelsea versus Liverpool. Chelsea took the lead in the 25th minute when an in-form Eden Hazard continued his superb scoring record this season. Pretty simple goal for Chelsea as Trent Alexander-Arnold gets a bit too tight to Hazard as he lays off a ball to Mateo Kovacic and then sprints in the space left by the young fullback, and Kovacic slides it through into the space and Hazard is pretty much one-on-one. Joe Gomez, despite being quick, can't quite get to the Belgian as he fires a cross goal and into the far corner. But Liverpool levelled it up in the dying moments of the game when Danny Sturridge scored goal of the season. I'm not lying, close the polls, competition over. Xherdan Shaqiri picks the ball up. It looks like he's going to shoot from distance, but instead the Swiss lays it off to Sturridge about 25 yards out. He looks up and from a standing position he has the
cojones
to curl one, left footed, back across goal, top right corner. Mental. Close the polls. Watch it if you haven't. It's crazy. Actually mental. And that's how the game ended, and I may be a bit biased, but I feel like Liverpool were just the better side in this one. And by just, I mean by an inch. It was a good game. They arguably had the better chances as Xherdan Shaqiri missed pretty much an open net, and twice did Liverpool have shots cleared off of the line. Eden Hazard also had a golden chance to double Chelsea's lead, but Alisson made himself look big to stop the shot. In the end, in a game of second v third, it's a game that you'd expect, a back and forth action, and a great game to kick off your Saturday night, and a draw is the fairest result in my eyes. And we move on to Cardiff versus Burnley. It was a poor first half with just 2 shots on target in the first half, both coming from Cardiff, who were the more threatening side in the first half, so obviously Burnley took the lead in the 50th minute. Ashley Westwood floats across deep into the box, and Cardiff defender Greg Cunningham is poor in this, as his jump is pretty pathetic. Johan Berg Gudmundsson outjumps him and he heads it down from 6 yards out, and it sneaks in at the near post. But Cardiff levelled it up 10 minutes later when Josh Murphy got a goal. What a strike as well, as an out of position Bruno Manga gets on the overlap and pulls it back to Josh Murphy, who was about 16 yards out and just lets the ball run to him and thumps a side-footed effort into the corner for his first Premier League goal. But Burnley retook the lead in the 71st minute through Sam Vokes. Johan Goodmanson got an assist to go with his goal as he makes a darting run in behind the Cardiff defence. He then lifts the ball across to Vokes, who found the corner with his head. And as the game ended, Cardiff are now 11 games without a win in the Premier League and are without a win in all competitions in 8 games, their worst run of form since the 1964-65 season. They have the second worst attacking record and the worst defensive record, and it looks like a lot of our predictions of them going down are coming into fruition. I just can't see a way out of this for Cardiff, and I can see them spending pretty much all season in that drop zone. They did do well to get a leveller, but were caught out on the break by Burnley that condemned them to yet another defeat. And with a game against Spurs coming up next before the international break, things are not looking too good for the Welsh side. And we move on to Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace. It was a great start for Bournemouth as only 5 minutes into the match they took the lead as David Brooks got his first Premier League goal. Bournemouth started the brightest of the two sides and could have had one earlier if Joshua King threw himself at a lovely low cross, but the ball was played in low by Adam Smith towards Callum Wilson. He has his back towards goal and tees it off to David Brooks, who curls one from just inside the box and it goes in via the underside of the bar. But Palace would level the game up 10 minutes in the second half when Patrick Van Aanholt scored a belter. Wilfried Zaha has the ball outside the area. He spots Van Aanholt making a run and plays it to him. There's a hint of offside, but let's not take anything away from this finish as he has it on the left hand side of the box at a very tight angle, and normally I'd say never be beaten at your near post, but sometimes when the effort is this good, you can understand, as the Dutch fullback absolutely thumps one right into the near top corner. But Bournemouth will get the perfect chance to retake the lead in the 86th minute as they were given a penalty. It was a pretty dumb penalty to give away as well. As a free kick has been taken, referee Mike Dean gave Palace the warning as he saw them pulling and shoving, and as the free kick was swung in, Mamadou Sakho basically elbowed Jefferson Lerma right in the face, and Mike Dean awarded the penalty. Correct call for me, that one. Junior Stanislas steps up to take it after just coming off of the bench, and it's his first touch as he slotted it right down the middle. And as the game ended, a deserved win in the end for Bournemouth, I'd say, is if you look at the whole 90, they were the better side. Bournemouth started the game well and went ahead through Brooks, but Palace did start the second half well, but then it all opened up and a really silly penalty has ended up costing Palace. David Brooks' first goal in the Premier League and the goal that earned him the right of the youngest ever scorer in Bournemouth's history looked to be in vain, but Stanislas' late penalty sealed the win for Bournemouth. And finally, we've got Wolves versus Southampton. This game was starved of any real quality chances, but as soon as Wolves brought on Adama Traore, something seemed to click. And they did look on point, and they took the lead in the 79th minute when Ivan Cavallero scored his first Premier League goal with his first Premier League touch. Like I said, Adama Traore changed the game as he broke down the right hand side. He turns past Wesley Hurt and crosses it for Raul Jimenez. The Mexican holds off Vestergaard and tees it off for Cavallero, who smashes it into the roof of the net. And Wolves wrapped the game up in the 87th minute when Johnny made it 2-0. No, I'm not going to do a joke that you all expect from me to make. Get out. There seemed to be no danger with Stuart Armstrong securing the ball, but Matt Doherty dispossesses Armstrong far too easily and he breaks into the box before cutting the ball back to Johnny, who swept it under Alex McCarthy. Scoring goals? Yes, Papa! Are you happy now? And that's how the game ended. Southampton played okay, but there was never really any threat of them getting a win, and Wolves got a comfortable win in the end. Adama Traore seems to be one of the best buys that Wolves have made since the takeover, as he is often one of the best players whenever he steps onto that pitch. Wolves have now reached double figures after just 7 matches, and the last times that they have reached 10 points, they've always came after at least 11 Premier League games. They're playing with the belief that most promoted sides do come up with, but they have the quality that if they ever do play like this and they play well, they will easily pick up points from some of the big boys. They've already done it earlier in the season by picking up a point against Manchester City. Wolves are looking very good at this early stage of the season, and why can't they get a place in Europe? Burnley did it last year, for God's sake. Right, so that's all the games I've got for you this week. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers, starting off with the Premier League table. Start with the top 5, and as you can see, Man City are top on goal difference after beating Brighton. Liverpool and Chelsea are 2nd and 3rd respectively after they played out a draw at the Bridge. Tottenham are 4th after beating Huddersfield, and Arsenal make up the top 5 after defeating Watford. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Huddersfield, Cardiff and Newcastle make up the relegation zone and have identical records of no wins, 2 draws and 5 losses, as they were all beat this weekend by Man City, Burnley and Leicester. Fulham are just outside the drop zone after losing to Everton, and Southampton make up the bottom 5 after being beat by Wolves. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, Eden Hazard is at the top after adding a goal against Liverpool. That took him to 6 goals and 2 assists. Sergio Aguero got a goal against Brighton. That took him to 5 goals and 2 assists. Harry Kane got 2 against Huddersfield. That took him to 5 goals and just the 1 assist. Alexander Mitrovic stayed on 5 goals, and Raheem Sterling make up the top 5 after his goal against Brighton. Took him to 4 goals and 2 assists. Right, so that's all I've got for this week. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Tuesday at 4 PM for the next episode of the Premier League Review. To stay up to date about if we go live or upload a video, it would be best to follow us on Twitter. The link is in the description, or it's at portionofsport_. The copyright claim hasn't been dealt with yet. They've got it. We're just waiting on the response now. It says that they're going to give them till the 10th of October to respond, and then if they don't, then we get it back. We should get it back. There's nothing wrong with that video. Absolutely nothing wrong. If you missed last week's episode, that'll be popping onto your screen now, along with a link to the channel so you can subscribe. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. I've been Mark from Portion of Sport, and I will see you soon.